You are paying for someone else's free checking account right now. Not metaphorically, literally. The $35 overdraft fee you got last month, that funded the zero-fee platinum account of someone who will never meet you. Same bank, different rules. Here's exactly how that works. In 2024, American banks collected $12.1 billion in overdraft fees. Billion with a B. And here is the part that never makes the press release. 80% of that revenue came from just 9% of customers. 9%. That is not a customer service issue. That is a targeting operation. Today, I'm going to show you the three-tier system your bank will never put in a brochure, the math behind each tier, and the specific moves that let you stop being the one who funds it. Think about who those 9% are. They're not reckless spenders. They're people whose paychecks arrive on Thursday but whose rent auto-pays on Wednesday. They're nurses working night shifts who cannot manually track a $14 Spotify charge. They're gig workers whose income varies by $400 week to week. The median transaction that triggers an overdraft fee in the US is $24. The median fee charged is $35. On a 3-day overdraft, the effective APR is over 17,000%. Payday lenders, who everyone agrees are predatory, average around 400%. Banks, charging 17,000%, are getting thanked in Super Bowl ads. Here's the piece that should stop you cold. The people getting hit with those fees are not making bad decisions in a vacuum. Research out of Harvard Business School found that financial stress literally reduces cognitive bandwidth, the same way a laptop running 47 tabs runs slower. When you're anxious about whether a payment cleared, your brain is running survival math. You're not thinking about your Roth IRA. You are doing arithmetic at the self-checkout line, deciding whether the granola bars go back on the shelf. That mental load is not laziness. It's the predictable result of a system that charges you for not having enough money, which makes it harder to have enough money, which generates more charges. The loop is the product. So what actually breaks the loop? It's not a budgeting app, it's not a side hustle podcast, it's not a 30-day spending challenge you found on Instagram. It's a $1,000 buffer sitting in a separate account, untouched, existing only to make sure you never pay $35 for a $24 transaction again. $1,000 changes your entire relationship with your bank. It's the difference between your checking account being a source of dread and it being a tool you control. If you can automate $75 a month into a separate account, ideally at a completely different institution, you get there in under 14 months. That single move eliminates the most expensive line item in the budgets of tens of millions of Americans, and it does it permanently. Here's where it gets more layered, because overdraft fees are actually just the entry-level extraction. The real machinery runs deeper. Banks and the financial industry surrounding them have built an entire ecosystem of products specifically engineered to look like solutions while functioning as traps. Take the auto loan market. If your credit score sits below 600, you're looking at an APR of 15 to 21% on a used car. Someone with a 750 score financing the same car pays 5 to 7%. Run that on a $28,000 loan over 60 months. The person with good credit pays roughly $3,700 in total interest. The person with a lower score pays nearly $12,000. That's an $8,300 penalty, not for spending more, not for buying a nicer car, just for being in a different financial position when they walked into the dealership. That money goes directly onto the lender's income statement as profit. Store credit cards are the same architecture in a different outfit. Save 15% today when you open a card. The APR on 90% of store-branded credit cards is above 30%. And here's the mechanic most people never learn: deferred interest promotions. You buy a $600 refrigerator on a no-interest for 12 months plan. If you carry even a $40 balance at month 12, the issuer retroactively charges you interest on the full $600 going back to the date of purchase. The product is not designed for the customer, It's designed for the moment the customer slips. The most extreme version is the payday loan industry, which built an entire business model around the gap between when bills are due and when paychecks arrive. The average payday loan carries an APR between 391 and 400%. A $375 emergency typically generates over $520 in fees. Only 14% of borrowers repay on the original timeline. 1 in 4 payday loans gets rolled over 9 or more times. A $500 emergency becomes $2,000 in debt inside a few months.
The critical reframe: these products are not solutions that sometimes backfire. They are extraction mechanisms that sometimes get used as solutions. Almost anything else is cheaper. Negotiating with whoever you owe, borrowing from someone in your network, selling something on Facebook Marketplace. The cost of the pride it takes to avoid a payday loan is measurably lower than the cost of the loan itself. Now let me zoom out, because the real damage from the extraction tier is not just the fees on your statement, it is the compounding cost of what those fees prevent you from building. Consider 2 people. Both live in the same city, both earned $52,000 a year, same income, same starting point in their late 20s. The first, call her Maya, keeps her money at a major national bank earning 0.01% APY. She has no buffer, so she gets hit with overdraft fees 4 or 5 times a year, around $175 annually. Her credit score is 635, so her car loan sits at 18%. She has 2 retail cards at 29% APR, with balances she slowly pays down. She pays $144 a year in monthly maintenance fees and $60 in out-of-network ATM fees. An extra $40 a month bleeds out in avoidable interest. Nothing gets invested because there is nothing left. Maya is not irresponsible. Maya is not informed. Maya is operating in a system that charges her approximately $2,400 a year for the specific crime of not having enough cushion to avoid the charges. Over 30 years, that is $72,000 in direct costs. If that same money had gone into a broad index fund instead, it would have grown to approximately $270,000. That is not a number Maya sees on any statement. It is the house down payment that never gets made. It is the retirement account that starts at 55 instead of 28. The second, call him Daniel, earns the same $52,000, but Daniel automates $80 a month into a high-yield savings account at an online bank paying 4.5% APY. He builds his $1,000 buffer in 13 months and never pays another overdraft fee. He has 1 credit card he pays in full every month, taking his score from 650 to 740 within 3 years. He refinances his car at the lower rate. He puts $100 a month into a total market index fund once his emergency fund hits 3 months of expenses. Daniel does not have a finance degree. He does not have a trust fund. He just understands which tier he is in and makes the moves that shift him out of it. Over 30 years, Daniel avoids the $72,000 in fees, grows an investment account to approximately $160,000, and saves an estimated $30,000 across his mortgage and car loans through his better credit score. He eventually qualifies for preferred banking tiers that give him rate discounts and fee waivers that compound his progress further. Same income, same city, same starting conditions in every way that matters on paper. The divergence is not talent, luck, or a family connection. It is information applied through one boring automated transfer that Daniel set up on a Sunday afternoon and then mostly forgot about. Now let's talk about what happens when your net worth crosses into the $30,000 to $1 million range, because this is where banks start pretending to be on your side. You get preferred rewards, priority banking, private client. The branding is designed to make you feel like you have arrived. Bank of America's Preferred Rewards starts at $20,000 in combined balances and earns you gold status, a 25% bonus on credit card rewards. Your 1.5% cashback card becomes 2.625%. At $100,000, you reach Platinum Honors, and that card becomes 2.625%. Citi Gold at $200,000 throws in a wealth advisor. Here's the catch nobody puts in the marketing material. Parking $50,000 at a big bank earning 0.01% APY instead of a high-yield account at 4.5% costs you approximately $2,250 a year in lost interest. The perks rarely cover that gap. You are paying for the privilege of being called a preferred customer. Federal Reserve research found that rewards programs transfer roughly $15 billion annually from lower credit score consumers to higher credit score consumers. People above 780 net $9.50 per card in rewards and save $710 in interest annually. People with subprime scores earn $180 in rewards but pay $640 more in interest. The rewards game is not neutral. The practical move in this tier is not to chase status, it's to run the arithmetic, know the thresholds, and call your lender every year to ask about refinancing. That 5-minute conversation could be worth thousands. Now we get to the part that will either motivate you or genuinely irritate you, probably both. True private banking begins at $5 million.
JP Morgan Private Bank, Goldman Sachs Private Wealth, Morgan Stanley Private Wealth. At these levels, clients access something called securities-based lending, borrowing against an investment portfolio without selling any positions, without triggering capital gains taxes, without losing a single dollar of market exposure. Cash arrives at interest rates between 4% and 6%. The total outstanding market for these loans is $138 billion. Meanwhile, the average American taking a personal loan pays 9% to 11%, and credit card balances carry 12% to 29%. The people who need money the least borrow it at the lowest rates. The people who need it most pay the most to access it. That is not a flaw in the system. That is the system functioning exactly as designed for the people it was built for. This is what enables the buy, borrow, die strategy, and yes, that is its actual name. Buy appreciating assets, index funds, real estate, private equity. You do not pay taxes until you sell, and you do not sell. Borrow against those assets at 4 to 6%. Borrowed money is not income, so there is no taxable event. At death, your heirs inherit at current market value, the stepped-up basis, and every capital gain accumulated during your lifetime is erased. They can sell immediately with zero capital gains tax. You built wealth for decades, borrowed against it to live, never paid taxes on the gains, and your children inherit everything at a reset basis. That is not a loophole someone stumbled across. That is the system working exactly as its architects intended. There is one more advantage the VIP tier holds that money alone does not fully explain. In the extraction tier, you make dozens of stressful financial decisions every week. Which bill to pay first, generic or brand name, whether the balance is manageable. Every decision drains mental energy. In the VIP tier, you make almost none. The wealth manager handles allocation. The accountant handles optimization. The attorney handles structure. The wealthy do not just have more money, they have more cognitive bandwidth, and that bandwidth compounds right alongside the portfolio. None of this is meant to make you feel defeated. It is meant to make you feel oriented. The most dangerous place to be is not the extraction tier. It is the extraction tier while believing the system is neutral. Here is the sequence that actually moves people between tiers. First, build a $1,000 buffer in a separate high-yield account. It eliminates overdraft fees permanently and trains your brain to associate money with control rather than panic. Second, move all your savings out of a big bank and into a high-yield online account. The difference between 0.01% and 4.55% APY on $10,000 is $449 you are currently handing your bank for free. Third, if you carry card balances, pay the highest rate card first while maintaining minimums on the rest, the debt avalanche method, mathematically optimal and completely unglamorous. Fourth, once your buffer is solid and high-interest debt is cleared, automate a monthly transfer into a broad index fund. Start at $50, start at $100. The exact amount matters far less than the automation itself, because automation removes the decision from the equation entirely. These are not secrets, they are not strategies reserved for people who went to business school or grew up in households where money was talked about openly. The gap between knowing them and doing them is not intelligence, it is friction. Automated transfers, a separate account, and one annual calendar reminder to check your rates. That is the entire system. The banking industry profits from your inertia. Building a system that runs without your daily attention is exactly how you take that profit back. The extraction tier exists because it's profitable. The middle tier exists to give people just enough to feel like they're moving up without fully exiting the extraction dynamic. The VIP tier is sustained in part by the fees and lost interest of everyone below it. Understanding which tier you're in, honestly, without rationalizing it, is the starting point for every move that follows. You are not in a fair game, but you are in a game with knowable rules, and once you learn those rules clearly, you can stop losing by accident and start making moves with your eyes fully open. If this breakdown hit differently, if you're walking away seeing your bank statement with different eyes, that's exactly what Decoded is built for. Please like this video so it reaches the people who need it most, and subscribe to Decoded. We decode the psychology, the systems, and the real mechanics behind wealth, so you stop reacting to your finances and start understanding them, one video at a time. See you in the next one.